I am buying a motorcycle when I move to Los Angeles. Cars are expensive. Actually.
It's obvious that you have no concern for your own safety. So therefore, I'm telling you how absurd it is.
Here's the thing about motorcycles people don't understand. They're like, oh, donor cycles, blah, 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 blah. I've done the research. Yes, they are slightly more dangerous than cars because if you do get hit, you're kind of fucked. But
yes, you are dead.
If you wear a helmet, you don't drive drunk, you wear proper safety gear, not shorts and flip-flops, you try not to drive at night, and you drive like everyone's trying to kill you, only moderately more dangerous than a car.
Cool. So I just want that section, that audio clip of Tyler to play at EdPodTaf because the show will end when he fucking dies. And then we'll just have to be,
dude, yeah, Tyler, can we get, and this is legally binding, obviously. Can we get sort of a legal okay to sort of AI voice you for EdPodTaf when you do beef it on the motorcycle?
Listen, if in like 5 years I die on a motorcycle,
no,
I feel like AI will.
Tyler, I give you 3 at most.
3 at most.
I give you 3 at most, Tyler, so let's shorten that window. Huh? Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today in the presence of these witnesses to join Tyler, Neil, Olivia in podcasting, which is commended to be honorable amongst all men, women, and they, thems of all ages, and therefore is not by any to be entered into unadvisedly or lightly, but reverently, discreetly, advisedly, and solemnly. Into this holy estate, these 3 people present now come to be podcasters. Welcome to the podcast. I do. I'm O'Neill Henry.
I'm Olivia Fumiani. I object.
And I'm Tyler J. Karkara, and I do. You had me at hello.
If any person can now show a just cause why they might not be podcasting together, speak now or forever hold your peace.
I object. It would be weird because we're friends.
It's fine. We're podcasters, Olivia. It's the podcast.
We're not getting married. I'm doing that. Silly.
Tyler's doing that right now as we speak.
Claire, I do. Yeah. See, I just
Tyler is
just
finally
signing the license by yourself, just sliding it
Tyler,
over.
I'm so excited for you to finally lose your virginity. Obviously, you've been waiting, and I'm just so excited for you to be able to enjoy
marriage. It's pretty special.
Tyler, I can't wait for them to hold up the sheet to show your bloody stain, as in the traditional style. Just as he intended. Yes, Olivia, thank you. And holy podcast-amony. Very excited for you, my boy. We're all going to be in Chicago here very, very soon. By the time this comes out, Tyler will
see each other
have already
in person
be
for
married.
The first time in about a year and a half.
Yep. It's been a grip. I think the last time we also saw each other was my birthday.
Was in Chicago.
I think that's what
Pod.
Was that what we were like cooking on the podcast?
Yeah.
Is that when we like solidified the
I
concept?
think we worked on it while you guys were
We
here.
definitely were like
Yeah.
No, remember we talked about it for like
Yes.
we talked about it for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We recorded something on mic so that the IRS so you could write it off. Remember?
Oh shit! I forgot about that.
So
That's
you could
right.
write
It's
off the
probably
whole
in my
trip 'cause it was a
phone
business
somewhere.
trip. You're
Holy
meeting
shit!
your
That's right.
cinematographer and writer.
This is our napkin idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like an audio recording.
But yeah, podcast for podcasters by podcasters and dearly beloveds and newlyweds. Now that Tyler has finally
By the time this comes out, I will be married.
Tyler
Okay,
will
man.
finally have
Sorry,
changed
He's
his
off
last
the
name.
market, ladies. That's
Sorry,
sultry
sorry,
ladies.
guys.
This anxious cinematographer who rides a motorcycle is off the market.
This eligible podcaster is now off the market.
I am still very single, so if you want a weird they them who really doesn't know how to act these days, I'm in the Boston area. Hit me
Get Olivia. We'll
This
like
is
search.
greater Boston area.
What? Oh, I just
also have-
had an idea for a pitch. Let's
Oh, good.
continue.
Maybe.
no.
Oh,
God,
no.
no.
Oh, ugh. We also.
we're
We didn't
fucking
talk about
Olivia
this in the
Love,
cold
kill me.
open, but we do have the business cards now.
Yeah!
So we will be having these out in
the
real
real
podcast.
God.
Yeah, let's go through these really quickly, and then we'll get into the show. One of them is Got Podcast _, in the Got Milk
In the Got
fashion.
Milk font, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they're all Davis New is actually just our house font, and so it is some good synergy there with Got Milk. And then we got Farm Fresh Cage Free Podcasts.
I
And
do
then we
think
have
that was my favorite.
Raised
yeah,
with love,
this is
thank
really
you.
good. I might order more of those actually. And then I have Behold Real Podcast God, which is just for us. I don't think that'll get anybody listening to our show. And then we have Top
it's
10
funny.
Podcasts. It's very funny. And then we have Top 10 Podcast Betrayals, very classic. And then we have Daddy Want a Podcast, which was the
Daddy
original
Want a
concept.
Podcast is pretty funny.
So that was the
We
original
need to
sort of
leave the
concept.
Daddy Want a Podcast in all of the like B&B rooms.
Yes. Although they'll clean
Leave
them
it
out and
inside
toss them
the
away.
Bible.
Here's the Bible, the Book of Mormon, and Daddy Want a Podcast into
real
Bible.
Behold Real Podcast God inside the Bible.
Yeah, we didn't.
And then
I
Daddy
didn't
Want
end
a
up.
Podcast in the Book of Mormon.
I didn't end up
Oh,
printing
man.
the WWJP What Would Jesus podcast because Olivia thought it was apocryphal. No, but it was also too much money.
I didn't like it.
But yeah, podcast for podcasters by podcasters. We're here. We're gonna pitch podcast ideas, and it's time for the Wheel of Choosing.
For this one, O'Neill has made my last name the last name of my lovely fiance.
So yeah, that's what happens when you get married, right? You swap
Oh,
names.
Olivia.
Olivia, you're going first. First time in a long
Dreams
time,
come
Olivia
true,
Fumiati
boys.
going first.
Wow. I'd like
After
to
her sort of
thank the
meltdown 2
Academy.
episodes ago.
Listen, I was so ill.
That's not good.
It's an iconic meltdown.
It
let's
is
be
very
real.
good. Top 10
Top
podcast
10
meltdowns.
podcast betrayals.
the ultimate meltdown, the ultimate freak out podcast edition. All right, cool. We're gonna go with this one. So we're all familiar with your Baywatch,
Yep.
with
Okay.
your SpongeBob SquarePants the musical,
Okay.
with your
Okay.
Broadway musical Jekyll and Hyde. What do these three things have in common?
David
I'm so glad
Hasselhoff?
you asked. David Hasselhoff. Welcome.
Oh,
Welcome to
God.
the David
The Hasselpod.
Hasselpod.
Jesus Christ. David, did you say David Hasselpod?
Yes. Okay, because David Hasselhoff did have a podcast in like 2012 called Hoff Talk,
It's a pretty
Called
Hoff
Hoff
is
Talk.
pretty
Okay.
good.
but it was just like hosted by David Hasselhoff, and he was talking to other like industry people. I want to talk about David Hasselhoff.
Okay.
Can
What?
we can review his albums, his German
I want
albums.
to talk about his
when he was
long
in a
and
band.
beautiful career, and he deserves so much love. I love David Hasselhoff. I love him very dearly. This has been a fucking hyperfixation for like weeks now. All I think about is David Hasselhoff.
Everybody take a break. Everybody take a break. Just Google
Yep.
David Hasselhoff real quick for me. Just Google
Yeah,
David
I
Hasselhoff
gotcha.
for me. Just
What
real
has he
quick.
done now?
Because there's an image of David Hasselhoff like you've never seen him before, and I'm really excited to explore this style. If you look at the third sort of automatically populating image, there is
Oh, the mustache?
the image of David Hasselhoff with a mustache.
Ah.
And he
Pretty
goes
good.
from like
That's
sort of
the
very American steward of action and comedy and drama to a very Italian man.
Very Austrian man. Thank you. Very
Austrian.
much.
Okay, that's sort of the look. I get it now. Okay, so Olivia, why Hasselhoff?
Knight Rider. Baywatch. Fucking look at him.
I mean, yeah, Olivia, I'm looking at him. He's
Fucking look
he's
at him. No, because I think he has had a very interesting career, and like Nicolas Cage, I feel like he has like a similar sort of life path with slightly less I'm gonna say crazy eyes, but he's had like the whole like maybe he didn't lose a castle but he was paying a lot in alimony, that kind of thing. That's like his struggle. But I want to talk about the life and times of David Hasselhoff, now, like from us.
Yeah.
Like, what do we know David Hasselhoff from? The SpongeBob SquarePants musical.
The SpongeBob SquarePants.
That's pretty much it.
Not musical.
That's
the
our
movie.
biggest
That's
touchdown.
Like our big
Probably, I mean, Baywatch
And
was pretty big,
one of
right?
the big Baywatch is
Not
there,
for
but like, one of the
us.
things that I had to do is make sure that David Hasselhoff wasn't a dirtbag.
Wait, David Hasselhoff
I had to
wasn't
make
a
sure that
dirtbag?
the Hoff wasn't a dirtbag. He's not. So
Okay, good.
clear.
I-
My
Actually,
conscience
would
is
most
clear.
Gen Zs know him as the guy who Peter Quill in Guardians of the Galaxy called his dad?
That
Probably.
too.
I don't-
Yeah,
that's another one.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Is like
so, like he's
His
up there,
cameo
but
in
he's
Guardians
got
of the
these
Galaxy
sort of,
2
like,
when Kurt Russell turns
cameos.
into David Hasselhoff. You know, remember that one?
Yeah. So like, he had these sort of cameos, but I want to talk about his body of work because he started doing like TV roles,
I want to talk about his
soap opera
body.
stuff.
Can we talk about
And
his
then
body?
Fucking look at him.
Look at him.
And then like how he really wanted to be like a theater actor and like wanted to do like a musical. And so he ended up at the end of the run of Jekyll and Hyde. He was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and the fucking performance kicks ass.
Oh, okay.
I'll send you
All
the
right.
fucking video, but I want to talk about his sort of evolution and wide-spanning career and like his more like iconic roles. It
Now-
is very Five Wives of Nicolas Cage, less personal. I do want to talk about his career and the development of characters as an all-American national treasure. To steal another phrase from Nicolas Cage, I just think that he's a more approachable topic that is less talked about. Because you have your rage cages, you have everyone's Nicolas Cage, crazy guy, hilarious moves, blah blah blah. Where is the respect for David?
Olivia, I do.
David
I do
Hasselhoff.
want. I do. David Hasselhoff is very good. That's a very good title. I do want to challenge this by asking, how is this podcast not just sort of rolled into Podtap with a little bit of time? Because I don't think. I don't know if David Hasselhoff has the staying power for Gen Z, or rather,
That's what you fucking think.
or this is what I'm saying, Olivia.
That's what this show is trying to do.
That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm ultimately getting at. Is this the Gen Z solidifying podcast for David Hasselhoff? In that case,
we're gonna bring
how
David
do we
Hasselhoff back.
bring David Hasselhoff's energy, life into Gen Z? How do
love
we
that.
get David Hasselhoff on TikTok?
Wait,
He has
real
two
quick, does
daughters
he
my
have a
age.
TikTok?
Okay, looking up. Real
I don't
quick.
think so.
Oh, he does have a TikTok. David Hasselhoff.
Hold on. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Let me look at David.
He does have a TikTok. He has a TikTok.
Oh,
He has a
yeah.
TikTok. It's an official TikTok. Has a little verification check mark. He has 25,000 followers, 36,000 likes. He has one video. And it's here's the caption for the video. It's "Hello TikTok. Post your video with my song Summer Go Away," which is a David Hasselhoff, I guess, a ridge, and tag me to win
Yep.
two tickets.
That was 2019.
This actually, David Hasselhoff was kind of early on the ball to TikTok. He's sort of a groundbreaker.
September of 2019.
September of
yeah.
2019. So David
Oh,
Hasselhoff,
damn.
maybe this is it. Maybe David Hasselhoff isn't for Gen Z. You know, maybe he's already
He's
moved
there. He planted his flag
on way too early.
and he
He's on
walked
Truth
away.
Social
He
now.
went back.
Yeah. He's on Truth Social.
Don't even fucking joke about that. Don't even fucking joke about that.
Olivia, unfortunately, we can never know.
When are we gonna have the pod Truth Social?
Let me write down a note.
I don't want to die.
So we can sort of give all our sort of hot takes on the Trump indictment.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna put down in my podcasting notes Truth Social ? And that's it. Okay, we're gonna get into two things here. I think because we've been doing the show long enough, there's two things that I'm already worried about. That is podcast apparent. One, I don't know enough about David Hasselhoff. Honestly, my only tether, my literal
you're coming
only.
in as the sort of layman, the person who doesn't know anything.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's how we sort of angle is. I know nothing about David Hasselhoff other than he was the SpongeBob man and he loves beaches. And now he's kind of old.
He really
and so
does.
those are my only tenets.
Oh,
for
easy
David
back
Hasselhoff.
there, boys.
And he has apparently motor pecs, which I love. That is
Who
maybe
said anything about
Such a
Wait, guys. This might not be podcast. This might be TV show. But could we do David Hasselhoff X Turbo Teen, where it's instead of turning into a car, it turns into a boat, much like he did in SpongeBob.
Now you are hitting on something. He most famously, he originally got famous for a show in the 80s called Knight Rider. O'Neill.
Knight Rider.
Knight Rider was he had a talking car.
He had a talking car.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. So,
Yeah,
okay.
Before Baywatch.
Oh, this is it. We're in it. We're in the pocket now. I'm looking through my telescope. Oh, there's land right there. Okay, I see it. And it looks like it looks like a car boat. David Hasselhoff he's vehicle centric. So can we Olivia, I know this isn't exactly where your pitch is, but is there an avenue here for like David Hasselhoff and vehicles? Is there something there? I feel like there's something
is
there.
This a
David
can
Hasselhoff
we get
turns
David
into
Hasselhoff
a boat.
On to talk about his favorite motorcycles.
Can we do
David
car
Hasselhoff
talk with
comes on
David
to
Hasselhoff?
talk to me about my motorcycle obsession. He's like, I was in Jekyll and Hyde, and because of that, I can tell you that, Tyler, your sort of Jekyll and Hyde is you're a podcaster, and your sort of Mr. Hyde is the motorcyclist side of yourself. It sort of comes out.
But I'm just saying, this is a podcast from the young generation, the tastemakers now, who are saying some old stuff is still good, and some of that old stuff is David Hasselhoff, and we should be bringing it to a forefront.
You know what?
It's
I just
good.
watched Indiana Jones. Still good. It's all good.
Yeah, still good.
Well, hey Tyler, not all good. Hey Tyler, not all good. Hey Tyler, not
Well, Temple of Doom is a little problematic.
Hey Tyler, not all good.
Yeah.
This is the thing though. These are the two things.
Guy rips a guy's heart out of his chest, and it keeps beating while he's
metal.
lit on fire. That's pretty metal.
Yep.
Pretty cool. Okay, these are the two avenues I think we have so far, Olivia, and I want you to this is your pitch, so you can steer the boat. But there is the David Hasselhoff sort of vehicle extravaganza, which we haven't fleshed out, which would be very fun. Or we have a sort of, I think just David Hasselhoff might be slightly too small, only because I really don't have any tethers to David Hasselhoff, but we could maybe expand that out to old but not problematic. How do you feel about that? This is what we the salvage yard from the old. This is what we can salvage from the old and bring to Gen Z.
Who's cool?
The salvage job.
Who's cool? Can we figure out who's cool? What old people are cool?
Yeah, which old
David Hasselhoff
got
is the pilot.
your Davids, your Scott Bakula's, your Harrison Fords, your Mark Hamill.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
I'm trying to think. Dolly Parton.
It could be people, but I think
it could be people, it could be athletes, it could be shows, it could be
things. Olivia, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about pivoting that way a little bit, or do you want to just keep it
viewing nostalgia? I was just because the thing is, I normally go too broad. I normally am here's a general idea, and we need to narrow it in. Now you're saying.
This one you went a little tight. You saw David Hasselhoff and his very, very muscular pecs, and then you were like, and I said, but then I was like, well, let me pull out a little bit. And who's next to that? Who's next to David Hasselhoff? Well, it's Scott Bakula. It's Pamela Anderson. Well, we don't know.
She's not cool, but I'm saying if you pull out the image, it's Baywatch and Pamela Anderson.
Okay, yeah, sure. But that is something that I think might have a little bit more legs, unless you have something very specific for David Hasselhoff. That's it. I just need an angle. That's really what I'm missing. Is like David Hasselhoff, yes. But what is the pod if we just do David Hasselhoff?
To like the old but still good, the oldie but goodie kind of situation.
Yeah.
Oldie but a goodie is a good name for that podcast.
I think that might exist, but we can talk names here in a sec. But let's get concept.
But I'm okay with expanding beyond David, Mr. Hoff, the Hoff.
Monsieur Hoffman.
Mr. Hoff. The Hoff.
Mr. the Hoff.
The Hoff.
But so I'm fine expanding beyond the Hoff, but I think I would very much like to do I wanna at least highlight the good and glorious career of Mr. Hoff. And I can do that for other people as well. I'm open to doing that with other folks as well. So but David is the keystone there.
And again, you don't have any other sort of angles you want to take that David Hasselhoff thing, because I think just a discussion pod on David Mr. Hassel,
Maybe
big
it's more of a.
Hassel.
Could we build a ranking of his many artistic creations?
Of
Mr.
Hessel, Huckle, Heckle, Ruffalo, Heffelopoulos.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm feeling like you're not jiving with this.
I'm personally not jiving with just a discussion pod about Mr. Hoff. I want a nice angle. I want that PPP twist we love to put on our little podcast, where we get a little other with it. You know, I want to put a little bit of twist on it. So I like the sort of salvage job area where we take a person's life career, see what we can salvage. And Mr. Hasselhoff has apparently a lot we could pull from. Or if we do just want to discuss about David Hasselhoff, like what's the twist we're putting on it? What's like the what are we can?
I think it almost is like a PR like makeover kind of situation. Is like, how can we make David Hasselhoff easily brandable for Gen
Could
Z?
we? Hang on. Now, I like this. Could David Hasselhoff be the episode, and the podcast is us,
a revamp?
Each episode is rebranding
old people.
Boomer.
I love that.
Old people.
The Boomer
Extreme Makeover Boomer Edition.
Extreme Boomer Edition. I like this. This is that angle that I crave. Okay, yes, very good.
That's pretty good.
So every episode, this is the podcast now. Every episode, we have to rebrand an old person to make them more palatable to the Gen Z sort of era. Okay, I love this. So we talk about a revamp for Knight Rider, where the talking car is now
It's electric car.
It's electric car. Exactly.
It can't be a Tesla.
It can't be a Tesla. Unless it is a Tesla, and that's sort of the angle, is like it's a problematic tweet-heavy Tesla that he has to sort of, this Boomer has to sort of get to, and then they both learn something about being great. That'd be great. Okay, I'm here for it. So it's so let's move into titles then, or do we want to do a little bit more form and structure?
No, I think.
I think we've got the idea sort of doing it there.
So let's talk titles. Boomer Redoomer.
The Boomer Redemption Podcast.
Yeah, the Boomer Redemption Podcast. The Boomer rebrand.
I do like
the Boomerang. Ooh,
to bring it back around.
Ooh, the Boomer.
The Boomerang.
-A. Boomerang is definitely a podcast.
Like we're getting boomers to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I don't understand why that little girl's head is bald. Why do you like that?
Is she one of those trans?
She's got tattoos. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Is this little boy? Is this bald little boy like Caillou?
Very good. Okay.
Now it seems to me that the women are talking a lot in this.
It's just elders react, but
elders react for our podcast. That's pretty good. Okay, so the Boomerang podcast is taken. There's a lot of different Boomer. Hey Boomer.
Extreme Makeover.
Is there an
Boomer
oldies but goodies, but Extreme Makeover Boomer Edition? Is
okay, let me look it up. If this exists, Olivia, this might be a problem.
The other thing that I'm thinking is like going full Shakespearean and be like, what's in a rep?
Okay, no, we're good. Extreme Makeover Boomer Edition is very, it's very good.
I'm okay with that as a holder if we find something good. But
okay, the only other idea I had, and we could toss this one if this doesn't work, but the Salvage Job podcast. Just we try to salvage.
We could call it the Salvage Yard.
The Salvage Yard
is pretty good.
Which would open it up to not just people, but I'm fine with it just being people.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I like the Salvage Yard. It has a little bit like, ooh, like what are they doing over there? Meanwhile, like. But like Boomer also has like the buzzword in it, but those two I think are the top two.
Now I will say Extreme Makeover Boomer Edition is a show that boomers would watch. They love Extreme Makeover.
Yeah, exactly. So we get the boomers and then we subtext it for Gen Z.
This is sort of us telling boomers how to be cool, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also just
be like Dolly. Be like David. Yeah.
Roll, spin that big beautiful wheel, O'Neill.
All right, and now it's time for the wheel.
Who's it gonna be?
Wheel in the sky keeps on turning.
Oh, it's me. It's me. It's me. I don't know what podcast I do. Okay.
Monsieur Henri.
I know what I'm gonna do. You know, this is very much the meme. I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
Oh God. Oh Lord.
Boop, 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 boop. That's right. The clock is counting down. We have 24 hours to podcast away these terrorists. Welcome to 24. The podcast, a podcast that is 24 episodes long, each one an hour of a day, where we have to try to save America and our great country from these terrorists that are trying to take us down. Jack Bauer is back and he's doing a podcast this time to stop these terrorists.
The only way to stop these terrorists is to talk
God.
about the socio-political climate of the Middle East for many hours.
For many hours. I don't know. This is it. Okay. I don't know if this is an audio drama. I don't know if this is an actual pod, but 24, the podcast, where it's 24 episodes, each one an hour long, and then you include it makes one full day.
Are we podding this are we doing this 24 hours? Like the whole thing is
we could do that would be very fun. That would be a very stunt heavy podcast where we podcast for 24 hours. I would kind of be down. That might be fire.
I think we could get guests in, take breaks.
Yeah. We do like a super marathon.
Yeah.
Like when people do
podathon.
24-hour streams, right?
Yeah, exactly. At BU, we used to do the improv marathon where it was a whole weekend.
Liquid Fun 24-hour.
Yeah, it was a 48 hours, I believe, actually, wasn't it? Or was it just 24
hours? It was
hours?
the whole weekend. I think it was full 24 hours. I don't think it was a full.
Okay. But essentially, yeah, it starts, 1 hour and then goes all the way through the end. You bring on different guests, different acts, stuff like that. That could be very fun. Or we could kind of go the Jack Bauer Power Hour was the other sort of.
This one's hosted by Jack Bauer. Definitely needs a
boomer. Yeah. So yes, this is the thing. First of all, I want to talk about 24. How do we feel about it? The show.
A little problematic in hindsight.
Yep, a little bit.
But also a great idea for a show. Are you kidding?
Yes,
me? 24 episodes. Each one is in real time. An hour.
In real time.
Very good.
Yeah, very good. You get the countdown. It includes the commercial break. That's the other thing.
Can we just do that? Can we just write a new version of that show that isn't problematic instead?
Okay, Tyler. I like this concept.
With sort of like a cool Gen Z
Publish
Jack
the audio
Bauer.
drama.
Yeah, we make an audio drama version of it. I like that.
I'm Jack Bauer. I use they them pronouns.
There are some
boy's name and a girl's name.
There is one podcast called 24, the Bauer Hour podcast, which is very good.
But that's about.
That's about the show itself. So we could either. I want to use this as an opportunity to maybe expand the PPPCU a little bit, and maybe there's a podcast terrorist that's trying to take down all of podcasting. This is our multiverse of madness, or into this podcast verse of podcasting, where it is we have to save all of podcasts.
Podcastverse.
Oh shit! Do we want to pivot? Maybe.
Seeing it tonight, no fucking spoilers.
Oh shit! Okay, that's good because that was actually going to be my pitch, but I didn't know if you had seen it yet, Liver. So good. So we'll save that one for next time. But okay, so this is the thing. What angle do we want to chase with it? Because I'm ready to start developing this. Do we want to do?
For me, I need to know what the terrorist plot is.
Yeah.
What problem are we trying to solve by doing this 24 hours? Because in my head, other than because I've never seen 24, I know of 24. But
I know who it is. I know it's Howard Stern. Howard Stern wants everyone to go back to linear radio.
Yeah, he's finally peeling off.
Podcasts have destroyed my business and my way of life.
Because the other thing is in my head, it's a mockumentary.
A mockumentary, interesting.
Of counterterrorism, but it's funny.
Well, there is actually a CIA workplace sitcom comedy that's pretty funny. But I would say, 24 is like a drama, right? It's a drama, it's suspense, it's a thriller. I'm trying to think they happen in real time. So maybe this is it. Maybe we do like we do in media res, sort of like we're already in the situation and we just spend that time figuring out what the plot, how we're going to disable this plot. But you are right, Olivia. What is the sort of main terrorist plot?
What could possibly be podcast material for a terrorist plot?
Mm-hmm. Of a podcast terrorist plot. That's the thing.
Selective sort of media consumption.
Yeah. So we could, this is harkening back to something that doesn't exist anymore because I've wiped it from the face of our bit depths. But that sort of interstitial thing that I used to play at the beginning with,
you did it once. Yeah.
I did it
Kareem,
twice.
You did it twice.
Oh, you did?
It didn't land.
Yes.
It was on Holiday Trip, our second bit depth.
Interesting.
And
That's going to be like
maybe?
one of those great Wikipedia facts down the line where it's like you were only a real fan if you heard about
If you heard, yeah.
Kareem.
Only the real fans heard the fucking what was his name? Khalid, I think, or
I don't remember.
Kareem.
I remember his name. Kareem.
I'm pretty sure
Kareem.
it's Kareem.
Yeah, Kareem.
Kareem. Did the T-shirt like save Kareem?
Save Kareem, dude. That's fucking yeah. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's where that gets to live is like in this 24 where he has to save podcasting and like we sort of like create this. Are you guys familiar with what's the fucking story that people were like Adventures Unbalanced kind of took from this a little bit, that sort of online internet Homestuck, yes, sort of Homestuck-ish.
I didn't
sort
watch
of.
I never read Homestuck, so
it's a weird one because it's like it's internet. It's also super long. So there's no way to catch up on it.
Liver feels like a big. I think Liver's doing sort of a Homestuck reference. Liver is absolutely the target.
No, she's afraid of Homestuck.
No, I am not. I hate Homestuck so much. I was friends with Homestuck kids in high school, and I hate that shit.
Yeah,
I hate it so much.
It's very
Too many cons I went to with just gray people walking around everywhere. I hated it. It was awful.
Or another sort of angle would be Hank Green's book, An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, where it's like this internet world situation. That I think that's the angle we want to play it, where it's like podcasting has taken over the media space, but we have to save podcasting in order to save, everyone's minds.
So sort of Ready Player One, but if instead of video games,
it's podcast
culture. It was podcasts.
Yeah, that angle.
Everyone
I mean,
has like.
I've listened to everything. I've listened to all of the Joe Rogan Experience. All of the,
I have experienced it.
I've listened all the way back into the archives of Malcolm Gladwell.
I mean, this pitch is sort of ADHD at this point, but that is the sort of other angle that I had with just my general media predictions is like the metaverse is happening, unfortunately, and so like every
I don't think it is.
It is though is the problem, and every mediascape is going to have its own like section with
the Facebook metaverse is not happening.
No, not the Facebook metaverse, but the concept of it is happening, unfortunately. And so like every mediascape will have its own like quote unquote universe. And so that's where this 24 lives. It's within the Podcastverse, like we said. So that's
I just need someone to go, we got to protect the servers. I just need that.
How to protect the servers. Yeah, exactly.
So here's my thing about things like 24.
Yes.
It's sort of its own genre.
Yes.
In the sense that it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's the genre I would call like terrorist trash, where it's like, we gotta do the thing. We gotta stop them. It's like, you know what movie falls into this? It's one of Chadwick Boseman's last movies, 21 Bridges.
Yes.
There's just a scene where he's on the island of Manhattan. Close all the bridges. We gotta close all the bridges.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what is that but for podcasts? Is there like a we gotta shut off the mainframe music?
Ooh,
we have to save Jordan and Jesse. Like
Jordan and Jesse, yeah. Oh shit, guys. Okay. Guys, we actually have something here.
Glass?
We have something actually here very special. You're right, Olivia. This is the world. This is the story. This is how we have this character, Kareem. He is trying to save podcasting, right? He knows of this nefarious plot by Ben Shapiro, maybe. Who knows? We'll figure out the actual terrorist. And then he has to go to the different podcast worlds. He has to go to the Ringerverse. He has to go to the Max Fun world. He has to go to them, collect the power, like angles of that, and then using their support.
O'Neill.
We're building up the universe. This is what I'm saying.
O'Neill, you want a Dungeons and Dragons game, but set in Spotify, is what you're basically telling me right now.
No. Hear me out.
Guys, please listen to me. I'm begging you.
Okay.
Ben Shapiro is sort of like our Boromir. He betrays us. He's this sort of Weasley secret agent who betrays us.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I like that for a very
Gollum?
specific.
Is he sort of our Gollum?
No, I think we keep that
You must
at a different
protect
angle.
my precious home environment.
The
family.
Ben Shapiro sort of Truth Social area is like that place that we referenced
That's
once that
Mordor.
nobody has to go to. Yeah, that's our Mordor.
We have to trek to Truth Social to save the podcasting universe.
But you guys are buying in now, which I appreciate. But this is it. This is across the podcast verse, but actually it might be the thing, but it's probably already taken now as a podcast name. But fuck the 24 thing. Maybe we structure it like 24, where it's 24 episodes and it's timed out, and there has to be like a 5-minute segment where Kareem does use the restroom on mic. Because that's the thing, is the Jack Bauer power
my favorite
squat.
part about 24 is every season it's sort of like a fun Easter egg, is everyone looks for when Jack Bauer has to go take a shit.
Use the restroom. Yeah, very good. Has to be in there.
Just like by the numbers, it's got to be at least twice.
Jack Bauer's like, I'm gonna jump out this window and then we're gonna stop the terrorists. But first, I had some spicy Indian food.
So we definitely have to include that in there. I like it being structured like 24 as the core concept, but then I do love the across the podcast verse. This character has to surf this like internet media space. We fictionalize. This is the actual solidification of the PPPCU. We solidify.
Kareem wrecks the internet. Like that kind of
No, that's a
thing?
different
Like,
pitch.
that
Actually, I have that. I have that as a whole other pitch.
podcast.
It's a whole other pitch. I have a whole other pitch for that. Let's keep that. Let's take that, bottle that up, keep that buy-in you have, put it in your pocket, cash that out at the ticket booth. But we fictionalize all the different podcast media scapes. You know, we fictionalize Earwolf, and maybe Earwolf is an actual wolf. That'd be fucking cool. And then we have Maximum Fun as like a network of spies, maybe, or people,
Rocket
or
ships.
like maybe they're the shamans we can go to. Then you have your Ringerverse. You have, I mean, this is the thing. Like we build out that world, and then
Oh my god, there it is. NPR.
NPR, dude,
promise
they're like, yeah, and NPR is like
That's the elves. That's the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
The elves. It's
Yes,
NPR.
dude, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. We build it out. We build it out.
Ira Glass can be our whatever the maid elf's name.
Galadriel.
Yes.
I can't remember his name.
Or Elrond.
Elrond, yeah, sure. And then we collect our podcast verse. We go and we destroy our big threat against the PPPCU. Maybe we get Virgil Horse in at some point, and we sort of, this is what I'm saying. Like, we have a whole universe now, and we could sort of solidify it.
I love that.
Winston the gorilla, you know.
It definitely won't be too much work at all.
No, it definitely will be so much work, but it is work
It'll
that
be
I'm
so
willing to
easy
do
for
because
us,
God damn
three
it,
of
Tyler, I
us
need
to
to get
do.
my writing resume up.
All right. What are we calling this?
Yes, I don't know now because at first it was going to be the 24 power hour.
Across the podcast verse is up there.
Across the podcast verse, but I'm sure that's already been taken. Let me check.
In the multiverse of podcasts is pretty good.
What about just the PPPCU?
Yeah, we could have like a Count Chocula cameo.
Yeah.
Have appeal.
Does it have appeal? Is that what you said?
But like PPPCU, what the fuck
I mean,
does that
Does
mean
this
from an outsider?
Olivia,
you
you're
know?
asking if this podcast has appeal. Secretly, what you're asking is if this podcast has appeal.
Yeah, what you're asking is the podcast
it's sort of a fictionalized version
podcast.
of what we do here.
Yeah.
No. I'm just saying, like, from a name, at least like the podcast. That's like, oh, that's weird. Why is it 3 times? But like PPPCU doesn't fucking mean anything to an outsider who's like, what the fuck? is this?
Oh, okay. You're saying the name
like an
specifically. You're saying the
SEO.
name.
That's what I mean.
Okay,
Appeal
okay,
like that.
okay.
I'm not saying like appeal
yeah,
for the show. Appeal for the name of the show. It needs to be snappy and interesting. you know?
Yeah. I know what you're saying. I'm thinking, okay, this is what I'm tracking right now, and tell me if I'm off course, but it's the metaverse concept, right? Very much like Ready Player One. It's like Ready Player One meets the multiverse storytelling that has been pervasive in media right now. It's like a marriage of the two, right? Except for instead of like alternates, it's like the universe, right? Is like the universe of podcasting. So, but that is sort of what I'm tracking. Guardians of the podcast.
Can there be sort of an alliteration? Let's see if there's any P words that start with guardians, like that are
The protectors of the podcast verse.
the paladins of the podcast.
Well, that's a little too D&D for
preservers
me.
of the podcast.
That sounds like a
the-
D&D
I like protectors.
podcast.
The podcast patrol.
Oh shit! Wait, let me look something up really quick.
The pod patrol.
Podcast.
Pod patrol, roll out.
Pod patrol.
There is a PAWD PAW cast, a Pod Patrol podcast, but there's not a podcast Patrol. Yeah, no, it is. It's great. Yeah, all right. I do like protectors of the podcast, but that's still that puts too much emphasis on. We don't know what Kareem's journey is going to turn out, right? So I don't want to put it like that strong. I want him to be sort of our window into this podcast universe, you know. So I would like it to be, that. I would like it to be a little less emphasis on him as a main protagonist, and more so as our, window into this podcast
the
nexus.
World. Yeah. So it's probably should be more about the world and less about the people in it, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of what
At least the title should be, right? Because that's what brings you in.
Can it be like RRR where we just call it SEO?
Oh, I like that as fiction. Oh, that's actually a great idea, guys. Okay, that's a great idea. Because we have bit depth, we have feed drop. Is there another podcast-esque thing we could use to then melange into podcast as a name, like Mike, M-I-C. Maybe it's crazy that you have to say the podcast universe. Something like that, where we could take either an extant podcast thing and then sort of make it an acronym, or...
Wavelength.
Wavelength, the wave. Ooh, W.A.V.
Am I going to have to pull a candle real fast?
Yeah, maybe. You might have to dip into that candle brain.
All right, we're getting the paper and pencil.
Yeah, one day we'll play.
One day we'll get there. Once this podcast pops up, we'll hop back to YMBW once I can afford to pay a regular editor. Okay, cool. I have blog.podcast.go, podcast glossary terms and phrases explained. We have AAC, that's an audio format. AAC, condenser, DAW.
What the fuck do we say at the beginning? A podcast, innovation.
I'm at a loss, gang. I'm sorry. I fucking got nothing here.
Come on, Tyler. You gotta dig in. You gotta dig deep. Tyler, you're always here on the fucking surface. I need you to dig deep, okay? Dig deep into your soul. What's in there? There's a little scary little clown. There's the fear of horses. What else is in there, Tyler? What's in that soul?
Just a motorcycle right now.
My soul.
Okay, well then pull from it, Tyler.
Motorcycles are in my soul. What else?
Okay, pull
there?
from it, Tyler. Pull from it.
I'm trying because what I have right now is World of for W, A audio, and then the E I have exhibition, but I don't know what to put for the V. So I have World of Audio blank exhibition.
World of Audio vocal exhibition.
That's what I was thinking. Vocal, verbal.
Wait, how
voice.
about the original multiverse storyline was called Crisis on Infinite Earths? Could we call it Crisis in Infinite Podcasts?
But my only problem with that, Tyler, I like it, but my only problem with that is it ties too much into podcast or too much into comic books and not enough
Infinite
into
podcasts.
Oh, what about just metadata? And that's just the name, like a bold, hard, impact name, metadata.
Check, because there's a lot of metadata for a lot of different things. Like I use metadata in like my library job.
True.
So
metadata just means data that is recorded in the file.
Yeah. What about this? Because this is also part of it. An MP3 ID3.
I think that's just what they're calling the movie Independence Day 3. They're calling that one ID3.
ID3. Damn it. No, I think that works. Let me just Google.
I think if we do put metadata, you're gonna kind of get caught in. I literally typed up metadata podcast, and it's literally just like how to manage metadata for your podcast.
Yeah.
So getting up through the rankings of that would be a little bit difficult, I think.
Yeah.
For searchability.
But I like that angle, right? Because that's really what it is. This is a meta podcast that lives within the fiction. Yeah. So I like the ID3 as part of it. Interdimensional
podcast
IDP.
Again, that's just PPPCU. It's just letters. It doesn't mean like it's not.
But
that's
Olivia,
but it stands for interdimensional.
Look me in the eyes right now, Olivia. Is anyone who's not sort of tied into our whole shtick gonna be interested in this?
That's fair.
I don't know.
I'm gonna say
no. Okay. The only other one I have is R.S.S.
The wind is like slow. It is leaking a lot out of my sails here on this one.
I'm losing steam. I'm losing steam.
It's all good. It's all good. You have to have faith. 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 Listen, this is how we cook. Okay? This is how we cook, guys. This is how we fucking cook, all right? I'm in the fucking Come on, Tyler, get with me, all right? Tap into that Italian heritage, you two. Come on, and let's cook, all right? Let's cook.
Is the podcast paradox anything?
Nah, I don't think so. But I want to try. Okay, this is the last one. I'm fine with IDP/ID3 as just sort of like a meta tag thing, a better name. There's also R.S.S. Is there something we can do with R.S.S? Make that an acronym? That's the last one.
Really super stupid. That's what
Super
this
stupid.
idea is.
No, coward.
Neil deGrasse Tyson called Cosmos a space-time odyssey. Can we call it Cosmos a podcast odyssey?
The Podyssey?
The Podyssey, that's already one.
We can't keep just adding pod to words. We can't keep,
Okay.
I find it funny
thing.
we can't keep doing it.
It is funny, though.
W.A.V, World of Audio Vocation.
That sounds like the worst.
Well, vocation
World
is,
of
I guess
Warcraft
vocation is world,
expansion.
right? Not W.A.V, World
No,
of
vacation is
Audio, voice, vocal,
World of audio, va-va-voom.
Oh, there you are, Jokes. Where you been?
What's that, Jokes? You've been beaten down by trying to come up with a name. For
Okay,
this?
R.S.S. Replayed Sonic Simulation.
Ooh, okay. Is there a way we can replace one of those S's or R with like a world or universe, that sort of thing? Like, is there
Trying to think. Simulation was as best as I could come up with where I'm at right now.
All right. I'm fine with landing on.
Replayed Sonic Scape.
I like Sonic Scape. Can we switch the R? Real Sonic Scape.
Podcast
Church.
Frontiers.
You're tying it too into movies, Tyler. You have to get into the podcast. Tyler, you're in movies. Tyler, I know you're. I
Oh,
know you're
really?
in movies.
Oh, really?
I know
I
you're in
wonder
movies.
why.
You need to get into podcasts, Tyler. Right now, we're in podcasts. All right. Right now, you're a career podcaster, and everything you know and love is podcasts.
Oh God, it hurts. It hurts. The future.
Get in there,
Oh,
Tyler.
no.
It's like the fucking thing from Dune where it hurts, but it's good for you.
Jabbar.
The
This is
Gom Jabbar.
podcast
The
Gom Jabbar.
podcast Gom Jabbar. Let me write down a note.
Write
Let
it
me write
down,
down a
yeah.
note. Fuck. Dune Part 2 is coming out too.
I just thought of, instead of, you know how like there are I'm thinking like motivational like work acronyms where it's like, here we lead, and like it's like sort of acrostic, but they don't really make sense in conjunction with each other. Record, speak, spread.
Record, speak, spread.
Record, speak, spread.
That's very good. I don't know if that works necessarily.
I don't
for that,
know.
but that'd
I
be a
literally-
good,
that's it.
that's a
That
good.
is the last
We should sell that
idea.
as merch.
Yeah, gone.
Olivia, I like that as I might make a mock-up of this, but like like a hang in there kitty thing.
R.S.S.
Record, speak,
Yeah.
spread.
Hang on,
R.S.S.
I got it. R.S.S. Record, speak, slay.
That's pretty good. Slay. Okay. I'm fine with just making it an acronym for now, and we'll maybe circle back once we get into recap or deliberation rather. But I'll put RSS and W.A.V. Yeah, and ID3 on the doc for now.
T-Dog, Motorcycle Man, Model T.
All right, guys. We need to get it out of our systems. We're just doing a podcast. We're just doing a movie podcast. I'm sorry.
Movie
We just
review
gotta do it.
podcast. All right.
This. I think this is a feed thing.
Brad
I think we
Yeah.
just have to do it. Here's the issue. We're too tied into movies and movie culture. It leaks into the pod too much. We
Yeah,
need
we got to
an
get it out of our
outlet.
systems.
We need to get it out of our systems so that.
And maybe this is
you
a
know,
separate podcast, but
I
we'll
think
have
no.
to
I
see.
genuinely think this is a separate podcast that we can
Okay.
tie it in. We can call it Cinema.
Cinema. Cinemami. Cinemami. Hold on. Look at something.
Cinemami? That's pretty
Cinemami.
good.
The Cinemami podcast.
That's a pretty good name. I don't have anything else other than I think we need to discuss whether this is a whole podcast or if this is just bit depth.
Okay, well,
or
we need
what.
for that concept, we would need to have to actually go into form and structure here for a second.
Yes, no, exactly. I'm with you.
So what would nicheify our podcast? What form and structure would make it different? We have,
No, this isn't for public consumption. We release this so it doesn't ruin this podcast.
I get that.
This is
But
sort
if
of
we're
our release valve. for
Yeah,
our
no,
movie
I get
takes.
it. I get it, but
The
we would still
pressure
need to
valve.
structure it differently than other podcasts in order to make it a viable consumption.
I mean, because
thing.
we kind of talked about the other day, the three of us talking about like each of us kind of being an expert in a different field of either filmmaking or
Yes.
the
True.
movie consumption.
Mhm.
Because like I'm old, and
Yes.
you guys have different tastes, significantly different tastes than I do.
Yeah, I think naturally our dynamic would fit a good movie review podcast.
Well, I guess the thing for me would be we have many takes. I think there's an angle we could take on this where this is sort of a movie culture thing, like what is popular this week. Last week we would be talking about Across the Spider-Verse. This week we'll be talking about the one week we talk about the writer's strike. It's just
Barbie,
like big. I mean, sort of like the big picture. They just kind of talk about whatever's happening. But then there's also a version where we do bring a movie every week that we've watched and we discuss.
I think that's part of it. I mean, obviously, like, regardless, you have to talk about movie news whenever you're doing a movie podcast. Yeah. I don't know, like, especially with how news heavy the movie industry has gotten recently.
Like, one thing that's very funny is that you could do, like, people who are doing the Barbenheimer, like, double feature. Like,
like, very good. Yes, exactly. But I think as far as like overarching structure, maybe instead of like doing form and structure, we do like personas / what each of us would bring to the show. I'm fine with discussing that. As far as like Olivia, you would bring us all the 80s movies and all the 90s hot takes movies. And Tyler, you would just talk about cinematography all the time. And I would, I don't know what I would just be on the fucking hype train.
Wonder Emporium.
I would just relate everything to Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium. But yeah, that's what I sort of get at is like, what would be our like running week to week? We can rely on core structure.
That's
types.
A good point. That's a good point.
What are the
definitely
or segments on the show or like episode structure.
I think there's a genuine like, what have you watched this week? Like a book club. Is there a book club aspect of this?
If what's fun about one thing that like I do, at least personally, when I'm watching a movie, is after I watch the movie or even during, I try to wait till after, where I look up the trivia and like fun facts about production and release and like the Easter eggs and stuff. That like that could be like fun fact. Here's what happened during this scene. Like that, if we were like talking about, I'll be like, chime in, be like, hey, like this is like a weird or fun thing that happened. Trivia corner.
Yeah, trivia corner, definitely.
I think there's something to be done with if there's not like a big movie release that week. There's stuff like, this is the Sexual Awakening pod. This is the podcast where we just talk about the movies that were our personal.
Yes, okay,
Olivia
yes.
could talk about Dirty Dancing. I could talk about Raiders of the Lost Ark. I
could talk about Space Jam.
Exactly. Very good.
I can see it like that. So the only thing is like that is a very good place to start is like we would have different, like how the big picture has movie drafts. We would have
we need a like a midweek thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Could this be like a Gen Z review?
Yes. Okay, that was the other angle. Is like there are not really great Gen Z. Big Gen Z, from the perspective of Gen Z, entertainment podcast. Not even like just, entertainment.
Because I want to be the big picture, but not old,
Exactly, right? Have a little bit less less aging takes on
I want to have less anxiety about the state of cinema.
I'm chilling over here. I love this episodic movie storytelling. Give me a reason to come back to the movies, baby. Yeah. But yes, that is definitely where I want to take this is like the Gen Z,
the big
movie.
Picture Junior,
big picture Junior.
Let me look up parody law really quick just to make sure.
No, but
I Googled parody law and it said, you could add junior to anything and it counts. So great. All right. The big picture junior.
The teeny tiny picture. This is the teeny tiny picture. Listen, we're doing this out of listen, Sean Fennessy.
The small picture.
This out of love for your very good movie podcast. We do love your movie podcast. You guys are just very old.
You're old. You're old and you're out of touch. Get used to it, cowards.
You're out of touch with the kids, and that's what we're here for.
Imagine this is the clip that goes viral and gets us in big trouble.
That would upset me because I do enjoy their podcast very much.
Tyler does an apology video.
I'm so sorry. I love the rewatchables.
Okay, I do love the big picture junior, and then maybe we just use that to get on the Ringers sort of radar, at least in a legal sense. How do we feel about that? It does. The only problem is that is sort of impeding on the pirating podcast sort of branding.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's a funny bit. I don't think.
But I do like it as far as like what it actually says.
We're not taking the structure and form. We're just taking the name.
Yeah.
And we've just kind of done that. So like it's not like we're like I'm literally Justin McElroy.
That's
like,
true. That is true.
I'm still me and I still have my own ideas. We're just doing it because it's like, listen, trickle down entertainment isn't going to happen. We got to take it for ourselves. Junior.
Is there a name that could sort of identify to everyone that this is a podcast for young people? could we call
Babies
this?
are us. I don't know.
The Zoomer
Watching movies
movie.
on your, is there something that could sort of tell the audience
littlest
watching
screen
movies
streaming from
on
your
your
iPhone.
podcast
Yeah, I
on
mean,
your
that's
phone is okay.
like, honestly, Tyler, like, this is not a joke. The small picture would kind of work for it insofar as like
Small picture.
Yeah.
we make it a movie review podcast.
now,
but
but that
from-
does that give TV vibes when you hear the small picture?
Yeah,
True,
small
true.
screen, yeah,
But I mean,
that's
that is the sort of other problem with our current mediascape is they're all kind of the same thing now.
But
It's
that's the other
just
thing
watch.
I want to do. We're going to split. We're going to talk about TV shows too. We have to talk
Yes,
about TV shows.
yeah.
Because see, that's
Yeah.
where some of the best stuff is coming from.
Stuff is going on. Yeah.
Yeah, true. So the small picture kind of works.
Zoomers in the stream. That is what we are.
Let me Google the small picture podcast. Oh, it is already a thing
Yeah.
Gross.
with authors. What? Ew, gross. All right, I like Big Picture Junior then.
Listen, that is I don't know about Big Picture Junior. I'm not sold on it. I'm not
Okay,
sold on it.
all right.
That's okay. But I like it. I think we have the sauce.
Yeah, we have the sauce. We have the sauce. I do want to figure out though what specifically we're
Do we call it
doing.
the juice? This podcast has the juice.
No, Tyler, that isn't movie enough. The Big Picture is perfect because it's like taking movies and very specific. What's
We
the other?
can't just rename. You know
Why
what's a better
not,
name
coward?
For a podcast? This American Life. We're This American Life Junior.
And Tyler, what's wrong with that? Tell me right now what's wrong with that.
Copyright law.
The other thing I'm thinking of is like, you know how like when you're a kid at the movies, you have like the cheaper ticket or you have like the kids box where it has like everything in the kids box. I'm trying to think of like the physical thing of like being a child at the movie theater. Like what images, what kind of like words can we encapsulate that experience in?
The snack
Other than,
pack.
oh, it's too loud, I'm very small. Like the snack pack, but like that's also like, you know, is it a snack? Like, you know, is it whatever? But it's like,
Yeah, true.
Small,
You're right,
the small popcorn podcast. The small popcorn podcast, guys. That's something. I think that's very
I'm not
cute.
100% sold on that one.
I think it's very cute.
Could we call it
it's-
the popcorn
yeah, but it's-
bucket, the movie bucket, the popcorn
Those are definitely all
bucket,
taken. Those are definitely all taken. Those are all taken. Those are all gone. Gone, taken. There's too many movie podcasts, Tyler. And that's the other thing, is that's why the Big Picture Junior matters, is because it sifts us just slightly above the rest of the movie podcast because we're sort of drifting off of.
We can always
sort of-
rebrand later. We can always rebrand later.
That's true, but I do want
Suppose
to
we can rebrand after
after our lawsuit, yeah. After our
Yeah.
after our
Cease and
cease and
desist.
desist.
Listen, but that's the thing. I want to be on the Big Picture. I want to be interviewed one day. The Big Picture.
Yeah, we'll get
hilarious.
you there, bud. We'll get you there.
Yeah, be like, oh, is that true? Earlier in your career, you had a podcast based on our podcast?
Based on our podcast called The Big Picture Junior. Okay. Other sort of, could we call it the Town Junior?
Hollywood Junior
The Village.
is pretty good, though.
Hollywood Junior is actually
Hollywood
pretty
Junior
good.
is actually hilarious.
Hollywood Junior is pretty good.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to
hello.
Hollywood Junior.
Tyler, that's
I'm
actually
Hollywood
pretty
Junior.
good. The only problem, Tyler, this is the only problem with it, and sort of this isn't the problem with necessarily the idea, but sort of just the human existence. We will eventually turn 40 and have a podcast
Doesn't
called
matter.
Hollywood
I don't want to
Junior.
think about it like that.
Okay, sure, I'm fine with that.
If I'm still doing Hollywood
I'm already,
Junior at 40,
we're already
I
in
will
our
consider
mid
that a
20s.
success.
We're hurtling
fair.
towards 30.
Yeah, maybe we
Speak
hand.
down-
Speak for
the
yourselves.
bear-
I'm still a fresh 20.
You're still in your early 20s.
Is there?
but, like,
Okay, I like this.
We are staring down the barrel of the gun of 30.
I like this. This is the thing though.
We are not staring down the barrel of the gun at 30. We've got
I mean,
6
I'm
years
almost
left.
halfway
I
there.
am.
I'm almost halfway
I'm
there.
already 45.
Yeah, true. Olivia's got 2 hip replacements already. Then this is what we have to include in this, Tyler. And I don't know how you feel about this, but we have to make a sacred vow that once we turn 35, we have to hand over the podcast to the next generation.
So we have 10 years to make this podcast as big as possible before we have to
Before we have to hand it off, and it's no longer ours. We don't get it anymore.
Well, no, and then we just become,
Yeah.
and then we're like the minor leagues. This is Big Picture Junior, and then we move up.
and
to
then we
Big
take over
Picture,
Big Picture
and
once
they become
Sean
the Big
Fennickson and Amanda
Picture
Dobbins become
Yes,
geriatric.
and then they go.
Great.
And then they
And
move
then
into
they-
at the movies.
I honestly,
They take over the Bill Simmons
Junior better
podcast.
than Big Picture Junior. This is
Okay,
the
Hollywood Junior. Let's
Hollywood
fucking
Junior's
lock it
pretty
in. All right.
And here's the thing. The other thing I need to talk about with you guys. We can't. One of these isn't gonna release the valve for us. This has to be.
Hey, Tyler, that's
this will
again.
have to be like a. This will have to be like a, if we don't have anything scheduled or we don't have time to do anything else, but we're gonna talk about movies anyway. We can record a like a filler.
Yeah.
That or
Hollywood
it's an
Junior.
every other week feed drop that we just do every other week. You can count on it.
Honestly, that like one we don't really have to edit that much because that's the other thing is this podcast is pretty edit heavy. If we can have something to juice the feed, that wouldn't be bad. Tyler, literally, my only fear is that it overtakes the feed and like we
It
post
overtakes
too
the
many
pod
of them
pod.
because that would be way easier to make than this podcast.
Well, that's why I'm saying it might need to be just like a separate podcast entirely.
Yes, I agree. And then maybe
We released the pilot. It's like when the McElroys started
Released the
releasing
Adventure
Taz. They did
Zone
the
on
first
their-
one on the
yeah.
Bim Bam, and then they and then
Yeah,
they
that's
switched.
the
They
vibe.
were like find everything else elsewhere.
Yeah. And now that we have our Space website, not a sponsor, I might actually bleep out the name of the web.
Yeah, no free ads.
No free
ads.
advertising. Yeah, but now that we can host other podcasts on our show, that might be very fun. So we can do that.
Yeah,
Sure.
that could be
Okay,
fun.
cool.
Other projects. Yeah.
So Hollywood Junior, I searched the name. We're completely clear. It's actually great.
Junior's so good, guys.
Hollywood
I
Junior's
really
pretty
like
good.
that name.
Honestly, guys, are we about to start another podcast? I can't.
Now,
Guys,
to be fair, this one
Tyler,
is
you
going
can edit
to be
it.
hands down the easiest one to record and release.
True. The easiest one to
easiest
record and
one
the easiest
we've
one to
ever
make.
made
That is
that we've
true.
ever made.
Easiest one to make. This is like fucking money done.
Yeah.
Like and
It's literally
if we
just
have it
us
on another
hanging
feed
out.
and we
It's
have
truly
and we
just
can't
us
release
hanging
a
out.
pod, then
Yeah.
we can just feed drop that
Sure.
into
Okay.
the pod
All right.
too
Yeah.
to juice.
I'm
the
down.
feed. I think it's
That'll
I
be
think
like
this is a really
we'll have
good
to like come
idea.
up with like a special name for that specific podcast. Be like, this is the
Yeah.
intermission. Like, I don't
But
know,
here's
like,
the deal.
something like
Here's
that.
the deal. No more movie podcasts on the pod.
Well, no
Here's
more movie like review-esque
Yeah.
things. We could still do like Bride of Podcasts, The Return, The
Well,
Sequel,
that's the
that
thing.
sort of
We've
creation.
toyed around with this idea before.
Yes, but now we have
yeah.
it. We have solidified our movie review podcast, our movie and entertainment review news podcast, and it is Hollywood Junior, a Gen Z entertainment Hollywood podcast,
Gen Z entertainment
Yes.
venture.
a Gen Z entertainment. I love it. I love it. I
jeez.
love it. Great. All right,
All right.
let's go into the
We've
recap.
really made being Gen Z part of our brand, huh?
Hey, Tyler,
Yeah, we
what the
have
fuck
to.
else are we
We
gonna do?
have
Everything
to.
else is taken.
Two.
The millennials fucking took over the fucking podcast space. We have to carve out our space for it.
And famous people. Famous people really
Famous
said,
people and
you know what,
millennials.
podcasts are for us now.
Yeah. All right, Liver, hit us with that recap.
Word. All right. Recap. The Salvage Yard, or the Extreme and Makeover Boomer edition, is a podcast in which we attempt to salvage the career and legacy of a person who is involved in media entertainment, who's just a public figure that we think is a good person and worth valuing and like revitalizing for this and next
A
generations.
rebranding podcast for dirtbags.
Not for dirt bags, for old people,
No, for good people.
for skin bags.
For skin bags. For meat
Rebranding
sacks.
podcast for skin bags.
We're giving the wrinkly meat bags a second chance.
This is not an ageist podcast.
Oh, it is definitely an ageist podcast. I've planted my
Yeah.
flag in the ground at this point. Name pending, R.S.S. /WAVE /ID3, which I'm still leaning ID3, is a audio drama following our great little boy who doesn't exist anymore, but will, Kareem, as he tries to save the Podcastverse and his journeys across save Kareem as he tries to save the Podcastverse from terrorists, and it is styled like 24, I guess still. And Tyler?
And Hollywood Junior is a movie. How did you phrase it before? You had a really good one.
A movie and entertainment news show
A movie and entertainment discussion show
for Gen Z.
where we aren't old. We're just not old. We're not old.
Yeah, that isn't
No
made by
one-
a movie.
we're not allowed to have
a
anyone
movie
on
and
the
discussion podcast that isn't
Gen
old
Z or
people.
younger. We're not allowed to have anyone over 30 on the pod. Over
If you
35
weren't
on the
born
pod.
in 1997 or after, get off the fucking show.
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese goes, I really love your show. I'd love to come on. No.
Sorry, Marty.
No, you
you
just
Fucking
can't.
hit the bricks, Marty.
All right, and now it's time to go into deliberation.
All right. I think there's an obvious answer here.
Yeah.
It's Olivia's for the B segment, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. give me.
O'Neill, yours is so much work, buddy.
I know mine is work. I'm fine. Listen. That will live
we
with.
need to get back on
That's
a regular.
Yes, I
That's
know.
another,
I know. That
fucking
one will live with
blessing that
the.
you want us to
That will live with the
But then
Cookie Monster one.
Mine is great. Hey, I love mine.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
I
we're
like
just
yours.
gonna
I
do
really
mine
want to do
as
a
an
full
other
show
podcast.
with that.
Okay.
It's happening. You know.
Okay.
I mean, but the thing is, we also
if-
could do like a teaser, I guess, of like, can we like obviously
That's
we incorporate it
true.
into this show, but that's not our main thing. It could be
Mm-hmm.
like a demo. Like, can we actually hack it when trying to be entertaining when talking about it and not just doing it for like shits and gigs?
That's
with
true.
This?
That's not a bad idea. Just to we can
Just
use
like
the
test it
segment
out.
as
Yeah.
sort of like a tester.
Yeah,
you know,
it could be
bang
that.
out and
Yeah,
get
like a
the
tester
Mhm.
to see
yeah.
the beta test, see if we can even cut it. Kind of
Yeah.
like that. So
yeah, you're
I
right,
say
you're
either
on,
mine
that's
or
right.
Tyler's.
Although I do
I'm
love
fine with
Olivia's
either,
idea. I
so.
really want to do that. I really want to revitalize an old
Uh-huh.
person's
Okay. Okay.
Funny.
This is what I want to get down to then. This is the brass tacks of it. Which one would be segment? I mean, I guess Hollywood Junior is by its nature a bit depth, right? So I guess we should relegate it to bit depth land. But then we would
Olivia's
have to push it
feels
off.
the most B segmenty.
That's fair. So Extreme Makeover Boomer Edition. So Olivia, do you want it to be David Hasselhoff, or is there another person we could kind of do?
We could do Mr. We could do
we
the
do David
Hoff.
Bowie?
David Bowie's a
Dead.
good one.
I can't revitalize him. I have to get a necromancer. I'm trying to save careers here, not raise the dead, Tyler.
That's fair.
They have
That's
to be
fair.
alive. That's
Have to be alive. That's a good codicil. That's a great codicil. What if, hey guys, what happens when we record an episode, we make an episode, and then immediately that person passes
That
away?
person
What do
dies.
we do? What
We
do
were gonna
do?
release an episode, but Betty White
Before
is
we
dead.
release the
like-
episode, we need a full physical on that.
Yeah, we need that has to be an aspect. That is actually great.
Don't
Somebody write that
travel
down.
on dangerous
They have to have
roads. Don't take unnecessary journeys. Don't go swimming in the sea.
that is a fantastic segment. Is we open it with the physical. We have them. We sort of
How are they
analyze
doing?
their health.
Honestly, if we're looking for a timing thing, Harrison Ford would be a good one with the new Indiana Jones.
Yeah, Harrison Ford, and
The new
Harrison
Indiana
Ford
Jones,
might be good.
He's got the Yellowstone show that he's doing. He's got
And
the
he's
new
gonna be
show
the
that
Red
he's doing
Hulk,
with
I guess.
Saul.
Yeah.
Marvel, I guess,
Weird.
is Thunderbolt Ross.
What are we doing,
Although,
this
did
man?
you hear his interview about that where he was like, they just worked me for like 34 days. I'm 84. This is impossible. Why does anybody do this? I hate this.
I love how much Harrison Ford hates being in Hollywood. It's my favorite thing in
He's
the
just
world.
a carpenter who's really good at being an action star.
Yeah.
Truly. And a helicopter pilot, right?
A plane. He's not good at
plane
being a
pilot.
pilot.
Okay, yeah,
No,
that's true.
he's really bad at being a pilot.
He's crashed his plane a couple
All right,
times.
really quick, let's do this. There's two things we need to do for this deliberation. We're landing on this podcast idea. But Olivia, first thing, title. Extreme Makeover Boomer Edition or the Salvage Yard?
The salvage yard is now giving me the basement yard vibes. Which
A little
I don't
bit,
know
yeah,
if
I was feeling
necessarily
that.
want
I was
to-
tracking
yeah,
that.
So I'm leaning towards Extreme Makeover Boomer Edition.
Okay, I'm fine with that too. I think that would make the most sense. So Extreme Makeover Boomer Edition. The first segment needs to be they have a physical where we just sort of take account their health. The other thing I think we need is specifically Harrison Ford. Can we do Harrison Ford, or is he still popular? Is he still with the Gen Z?
He is still popular. Young people still like him. That's why I'm hesitant.
Yeah.
to do
I love
that.
Harrison Ford. But also,
like,
we're
Me too.
nerds who watch a lot of movies. So it's like,
I mean, I'm obviously not as big on
Like,
Harrison
Tyler, you're
Ford.
talking about the sexual awakening episodes. Like we don't need to talk about
Which
Mr.
movie?
Ford. Like
Which
we're
one?
good. We're
Fugitive?
good.
Which
Indy,
one was it?
Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Fucking Last Crusade. Get
Of
the
course
fuck
it's
out of
Last
my
Last
face.
Crusade, Indy. Okay,
Get
not
the
Raiders
fuck
Indy.
out of my face.
Actually, for me, it was the Crystal Skull Indie.
To Shia LaBeouf, you know.
Papa. Okay, yes. So we would need to find someone who's pretty irrelevant by now's standpoint and bring them to the light.
Yeah, like a David Hasselhoff.
Like
It
a David
can't be someone who's
Hasselhoff.
still-
Could we
Everyone
tie
loves
it
Harrison
back?
Ford,
Could we
that's true.
circle back around and just, oh, there he is. He's fading away, but we can grab him. Billy Ray Cyrus, we got him.
He's not a boomer.
It's
He's
not,
Gen
oh yeah, it's Gen X. That's fair. Okay, so
Yeah.
okay. So we will decide in the writers' room which one we actually want to do. But so Extreme Makeover.
Michael
so
Keaton?
he was just
He
in
was
the
just in
Flash.
the new Batman movie. He was just in the
Yeah.
Flash.
and
yeah.
he's still kicking.
Which bombed. Fuck! I love how DC was like,
Did it
yo,
bomb
we're
good?
gonna
We're getting
fucking
into Hollywood Junior, but
we're gonna
good.
sweep all of this Ezra Miller
guys, we're already
shit
doing,
under
we're
the
doing
rug,
Hollywood Junior.
and
We're
it
doing,
had the worst release weekend in the entire DC
Remember when Tom
EC
Cruise
run.
said
It's
it was
so
like the best
fucking
movie
funny.
he'd ever seen? You guys remember that?
all right, you can't do Hollywood Junior, guys. All right, so
Sorry.
we will be
Sorry,
back
Neil.
to
This is
you.
why we need Hollywood Junior.
This is why we need
Don't do
Hollywood Junior,
this
so we can
shit.
get this out of our fucking system. All right, we will be back to you with Extreme Makeover Boomer Edition.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, you boomer.